Hello everyone, welcome to An Abundance Books. My name is Julia and today we're doing my 5-star predictions follow-up. Just today I finished the final book that I have to read before being able to do this video. So we're going to go back and rewatch the video that I posted in March talking about 7 of my 5-star predictions, and we'll see how right I was. Was I right on any of them? Spoiler, this isn't going to go well. Let's go ahead and play a game right now. Out of the 7, how many of them do you think are going to be 5 stars? Let's pop on the headphones and get to it. Hello everyone, welcome to An Abundance Books. My name is Julia and today we're doing a short, hopefully sweet video. We're talking about my 5-star predictions. Originally I had 10 on this list, but I realized a lot of them I wasn't very confident in, so we've compressed it down to 7. What must have been on that long list? Like, what did I cut to have this group of winners? But we did keep one pretty risky pick in there. It is Get Even by Gretchen McNeil. I should say I was going to do this video where I was just going to talk through everything, but I wanted to watch this to hear my reasoning. So let's do that and then we'll talk about Get Even. I don't know why, but something about the Gossip Girl, Pretty Little Liars vibe. I've just been desperate to read this book. Elite private school, secret society, tyrannical teachers, and then their latest target ends up dead. Like, I don't know, but it's gonna be 5 stars. Interesting. Okay, so I read Get Even recently, and I think part of my, okay, let's just say it was 3 stars. So I think part of the issue is it didn't live up to that premise that I gave it. They weren't really pulling the pranks for very long. They're not pranks, but like, they're basically pranks, getting even on a bunch of people before they started being targeted, and it very much turned into a mystery. And the other thing I didn't know is this is actually a duology. So I got all the way to the end of the first book and it didn't end. It ended with one of the characters being in a coma out of nowhere. And then you have to do a whole other book. That's another 350 pages. So I actually read 2 books for this. Both of them ended up being 3 stars. I think they were as good as they could have been for what they were. Like, for a YA mystery that has to span 600 pages and covering a whole cast of characters, there were a lot of things I liked in it. And I have another Gretchen McNeil on my TBR that I'm excited to get to. And I was also, mild spoiler, disappointed that there's basically only one reveal. You get little things along the way, but like the big bad is only one person with one motive. Can I say that? Like, I expected it to be grander after all of the time that I put into it. So we're 0 for 1 right now. 3 stars isn't bad. I enjoyed my time reading it, but definitely like a 4-star maybe I could bump up, but no. This was just like a very fine book. Absolute Haven, though, is The Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. This is described as good omens, makes the long way to a small angry planet, and it's blurred by TJ Klune. Like, there's just so many buzzwords happening. I'm trying to keep such a straight face right now, and it just occurred to me that like I'm on The Bachelor. In the live Bachelor finale, they put the little reactions on the bottom of the screen, and I'm trying to have the most neutral face possible. Is it working? In there, I don't know how to comprehend it. It seems like it's very much in the Becky Chambers vein of a heartfelt space opera, and I need it. The issue with this book was that my expectations were wrong going into it. It very much takes place on Earth. It's not spacey. There's aliens, but it's not spacey. I ended up actually DNFing this book. That's the level that we're working with right now. So yeah, it was just something I couldn't really get into the writing style. It also follows 3 different POVs, and I didn't really like any of them. There was one intriguing storyline about a violinist who has sold her soul to the devil to be good at violining, and I thought that that was really interesting, but it wasn't enough of the story, and I couldn't see a way that it would integrate with any of the aliens were in a donut shop. I'm really disappointed in this one, but I think generally everyone that I've heard who was excited about this ended up being disappointed. Maybe not DNFing it, but it seems like it was just sort of overhyped. Talking about it, of course I want to read it because it still sounds like something I should love, but I just couldn't do it. 0 for 2. Let's see what the next one is. Probably a slam dunk upgrade by Blake Crouch. I've read all of Blake Crouch's new things, like I haven't read Pines or anything, but this feels like it'll be more keeping in the vein of Dark Matter and Recursion. It is about genetic engineering and a like virus that makes you a superhuman, basically. The limitless concept, I guess. It's not technically something I think I'm super interested in, but in Blake Crouch's hands, I have no doubt. And like, we didn't get a book of his last year or even the year before, I'm pretty sure. So I need it. I think everything that I said was true. Like I literally used the limitless concept when I was talking about this book previously. I just love Blake Crouch, but this isn't it. The limitless concept is so boring to me because it's so predictable that it feels like there's no way to spoil it. But basically, this man is genetically engineered to be the greatest human ever, and part of that evolution comes with him being able to literally turn off his emotions and scale up buildings and be super strong at everything and the smartest guy ever, and he has instant recall now. So that's just not an interesting character to read about. You need your character to have a little bit of a flaw, and the only thing that he had was that he liked his wife and kid, which I feel like is pretty common for all of Blake Crouch's protagonists. It reads fine. It definitely reads like a movie. You can go through it really fast. Recommend the audiobook if you're wanting to up your goal or something. But I gave this 2 stars. Just like, this is not a story that I cared about at any point. Didn't care about the characters. Didn't care where they ended up. Of course, I'll continue to pick up Blake Crouch, but I think that I do need to be more picky about the concepts. But like, it could be interesting. It's just, it ended up being so cookie cutter. I think I just need to be more picky in the future. One that comes out much sooner is Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. Behind Her Eyes was one of my favorite books of 2021, and this one sounds even more like something I would enjoy, even more than Behind Her Eyes. It is about a mother who is losing her memory. She can't sleep. She's sleepwalking everywhere, and she remembers that her mother had a very similar condition around her age. I imagine some spooky stuff happening. I don't know if it's going to go supernatural or not, but I need it. So I was so excited about Insomnia that I purchased a copy prior to reading it. It's interesting because everything that I described there, that's the whole book. And this is something I'm coming to learn to hate. I love the pitch of a book, but the book needs to be more than just the pitch. And this is literally just a woman is sleepwalking. Her mother did the same thing. And then in the last 30 pages, you get the answer and then it's over. I really don't remember much of what happens in this book. I was just like, is that where this thing happened? No, that's another book that I was remembering that's much better than this. Yeah, this is literally just this woman, she can't sleep. She's losing it a little bit. She doesn't trust anybody after a certain point, and then you find out why. Like, at that point, that's a short story. If you have a pitch and an ending, which is all this book is, that's a short story. So yeah, 2 stars. Really disappointed. I don't know what to do about Sarah Pinborough. Even with Behind Her Eyes, I loved it without the twists and the thrillery things in it. But like this, the writing was just really exhausting. Also, having it be about a mom, like, eh. Oh yeah, there's a plot line in here where her daughter is involved with an older man, and like she's a minor, and they just kind of like brush it off when that's a crime. Yeah, this book is a crime. It's the same scene over and over again. She can't sleep. What's going on? Yeah, not it. So that means that we're 0 for 4 right now. So there's 3 left. Hearing me talk about Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. I do have a copy. Oh, I do want Middlegame. I didn't grab it. This is a story about 2 twins who are destined to become gods. Everyone who reads it loves it and raves about it and puts it in their top books of the year. So I'm hoping that I will be the same. This one I'm supposed to be reading in March, so I wanted to talk about it real quick. So stay tuned for my wrap up to see if if I'm right. Let me go grab it. So I think that I did end up reading this right in March. I buddy read it with my husband so that we could talk about it. I'm just seeing what do my tabs mean. Nothing important. So this is a very good book, but I'm coming to see the problem with these is I really like the pitch, and well, the last one, the book was the pitch. The book is not the pitch, or at least not what I took from it. This is very much a slow character study of Roger and Dodger and how sad they are all the time. I wanted this to be about the alchemist with a name, Reed, like doing the experiments and stuff. There's a good amount of discussion about his predecessor, who is A. Deborah Baker, who wrote all of the Over the Woodward Wall series, and like that was the stuff that was interesting to me. But it's mostly about Roger and Dodger are twins who are separated and adopted into different families and come in and out of each other's lives. But they're just really sad all the time because they want to be together and they can't be for whatever reason. It keeps changing throughout the book. So it's just kind of a bummer. A lot of the bummer stuff is done really well. Like this is a very sad, like it's effective at being sad, but I wanted it for the sci-fi stuff, and the sci-fi stuff really took a back seat. And there's a point where you like figure out what's happening, and I thought it was going to go farther with that concept, but it didn't. I can't say what I want to say about this, but like great sci-fi concepts that it then kind of drops the ball on, which is too bad. I didn't realize I owned almost all of these. Ultimately, I ended up giving this a 4-star because I really respect a lot of what it did, but it was just really disappointing and not the book that I thought it was when I put it on my 5-star predictions. We have The Wicker King by Ancrum. I remember. This is supposed to be like a psychological thriller, but more on like the domestic-y side. Like I don't think it's meant to scare you. The pages get progressively darker as you read. It's about someone falling into madness or addiction, I want to say. Everyone raves about it. This is the one that I just finished today, mere hours ago, and the fact that I am not a puddle might give you an indication as to whether or not this is 5 stars. So my big issue with this is that every chapter is written as like a vignette. Chapters are rarely more than a page. They are really disconnected from each other, and I really didn't enjoy that writing style, especially for such a character-driven book, because I understand intellectually the relationship between August and Jack, but I don't feel anything. Like, I'm just like, y'all are bad for each other and are just like enabling each other, and it's not a good situation to be in. But like, I understand that that's supposed to be tragic, and like it is, but I was just never emotionally invested in this. I can see the merit, but I can't feel the merit. This is a tough one though. It's a very dark subject matter about people falling into madness and addiction, and I think it's a great story, but if you can't get on board with the writing style, like that's why we read books, because they're written. And I'm starting to feel like maybe I don't like Kay Ancrum. Maybe what she's doing isn't for me. I think this book has a lot of realizations because it's also mixed media a little bit. Just things like a receipt. Whenever someone gets introduced, they get a CD with a bunch of stuff that like describe who they are as a person. And I think I figured out that I don't like mixed media because it takes you out of the story. I think it's the same problem that I had with the short chapters, is I can never immerse myself in the world. I can never like get into that flow, because then I have to stop, and I kind of view reading a document, like there's police reports and stuff in here. I view reading that as like homework, and I don't like it. So ultimately, like, I'm giving this 3 stars. I think that I totally understand why this works for so many people, but I also think it's reasonable why it didn't work for me. and I'm very sad about it. There is some great stuff in here. I highlighted page 287 and just that whole thing. It's not a poem, but like it's a poem and I love it. Yeah, it was just sort of about a bunch of messed up people doing messed up things to each other. The YA version of A Little Life. It's definitely not. Sad about it. Let's find out what our last book is and if it can be 5 stars. Is Everything I Never Told You by Celest. Something that's been on my TBR forever. It's at least 5 years old at this point. I did read Little Fires Everywhere, and it sounds like this has a very similar vibe, and since I love that, I'm sure I'm gonna love this. This is about a Chinese American family, and I believe that their daughter winds up dead one day, and it's the family drama ensuing in small town Ohio. She's an amazing writer. She really tugs at your heartstrings. I just think this is going to be a slam dunk. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know what I rated this. And saying that, it should probably be obvious that this is 5 stars. This is in my top 10 books of the year. I adore this book so much. I think that it's so smart and so touching, and such a messed up family who just need to talk to each other. Like it has a lot of similar ideas to this, but I could immerse myself in this world and I could understand these characters even if I didn't always like them or agree with them. Yeah, this is about Lydia, who you find out right at the beginning of the book has died. She drowned, and there's an investigation into whether it is a suicide or a murder, and that's not very much of the story. Like, don't go into it thinking it's a mystery. We go back in time, see what led everybody to this place, all the things they never told each other. These people just need to talk to each other. But yeah, this had me bawling, and I adore it. So let's do an assessment of maybe why this book worked and all the others didn't. I guess I can take these off. Hopefully I haven't been screaming this whole time. Oh, I have Get Even. I never grabbed it. What am I doing? Actually, let's rank these. So these are the 6 books for my 5-star predictions that I completed. I'm not going to count the DNF. I think this is the order. Putting Get Even above the Wicker King feels blasphemous, but I'm gonna do it. So I think I did a pretty good job because I've read from all of these authors before, except for Gretchen McNeil. This obviously should never have been a 5-star prediction, but I do think the fact that it's above the Wicker King says a lot for how I want to have a good time when I read. And this is a fun thriller, something that kept my attention, and I think that it succeeded in that. But I have to know that the things that I like aren't necessarily the things that are going to get 5 stars. For the 2 bottom ones, I think that this is a lesson in I need to be more picky. I know that I don't enjoy stories that are strictly about mothers losing their minds and the limitless thing. So I think that while I could have enjoyed these books, they were not good 5-star predictions. These 2, I feel like this is more on the book than it is on me. This one especially I was sold on a premise and the book was not that premise. It ended up having a very different tone. This one too, like the tone was more angry than sad, I would say, or more like hopeless. I wanted this to be more touching, sort of like this. Like this is crushingly sad, but there's a hopeful or at least a touching element of people coming together. This one's more just sad. And the Wicker King has helped me have a couple of realizations of things that I shouldn't put in my 5-star predictions in the future. And I think Middlegame, this is Middlegame's fault for not getting 5 stars. I wanted to give you 5 stars. You had all of the elements there, you just chose to focus in a different place. And this one's interesting because I want to talk briefly about the next book by Celest, Our Missing Hearts, which I pre-ordered and started and I hate it. So I think that I need to not just blindly trust authors. I don't know, because I do think like writing style has a good impact on it, and the writing style of Our Missing Hearts is very different. It doesn't have any quotation marks. Like, how do you expect me to read something like that? So I think that generally sad and sentimental books that also have like a dark undertone, like the investigation into Lydia's death, something to drive it forward so that all of the sentimental stuff can sort of fill in the gaps. Thriller plus, I guess, is what I want. This definitely isn't a thriller. It's, I guess, a mystery plus, but that's a good idea. So there you go. Those are all of my 5-star predictions. I got one of them right. And even my 4-star middle game isn't like a 4.5 or anything. It is solidly a 4. I'm a little bit bitter. That's it for this year. I'm hard at work on the next batch. I'm going to try to do more science to make sure that they're definitely going to be 5 stars this time. I think I'm also going to try to bump it up. This was 7. I usually do 10. There's 3 more chances for me to give a 5-star. Or 3 more chances to be humiliated. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you are having a lovely holiday, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!